Hey guys, what is up? This is Matthew Davis, and once again, welcome back to another video game review. This time is going to be on Ninja Gaiden 4, the fourth mainline entry in the 3D Ninja Gaiden games, starting off with Ninja Gaiden for the original Xbox, which also became Ninja Gaiden Black. And this year, Team Ninja brought us Ninja Gaiden Black 2, which is pretty much like an updated version of Ninja Gaiden 2, the same way Ninja Gaiden 1 got an updated version with Ninja Gaiden Black. It's been a pretty big year for Ninja Gaiden because not only do we have this game, we also got a new 2D game called Ninja Gaiden Ragebound, which I haven't played, but I heard is really good. And now we got pretty much the main event, Ninja Gaiden 4. Instead of playing as Ryu this time around, we are playing as a new guy named Yakumo. And from here, you have to escort a young girl throughout the world of Ninja Gaiden in order to stop a massive dragon that is coming towards everybody. You have to stop it once and for all, and by, send her across the world. No, it's not an escort mission. She only appears during cutscenes, so do not worry. This is not an Ashley Graham situation. So yeah, nope, it is fully focused on what made Ninja Gaiden great in the first place. It's heavy action combat and it's crazy difficulty, though this time around it is a lot more forgiving with the option of the lowest difficulty where you don't have to worry too much and just focus on the story. Though I wouldn't really recommend doing that because there really isn't anything too big when it comes to the story. But do I really care? No. Because the same way that, Bayonetta had excellent combat, but the stories to those games were very lackluster. And hey, because Platinum Games, the creators of Bayonetta, have teamed up with Team Ninja to bring a new Ninja Gaiden game into the mix, I was really excited. I could care less if the story was good or the characters were interesting, though I was disappointed for the fact that you don't play as Ryu throughout the entire game until, spoiler alert, during a few parts of the last act. While it's really satisfying to play as him, it's kind of lackluster and he doesn't really do a whole lot other than just have one weapon, where most of the weapons as you get throughout the game are with Yakumo. Now, with Ninja Gaiden 4, all that you really expect for this game is some heavy hack and slash combat, which is exactly what made the Ninja Gaiden games so much fun in the first place, even though they were very difficult. Though for newcomers, it's definitely more forgiving if you do play it on the lowest difficulty, which is what I played it on, because there were just so many games that I had to play that I didn't have time to take my time with them. And for this game, it didn't really take me too long to beat. I never died once because I had it on the lowest difficulty, but don't worry, if you are playing it on higher difficulties, then you're definitely going to get more of that same challenge that you got from the previous Ninja Gaiden games. And I can generally say with the amount of time I spent on this game, I had a lot of fun only focusing on the combat because it's much different this time around. I was a little bit nervous going into this game if this was going to be more on the same lines as Bayonetta, because I love the Bayonetta series, but when it comes to that formula going into another franchise, it just doesn't feel like it has that same sense of formula of what the franchise has been going for. But thankfully, it never bothered me. It still has that same Ninja Gaiden feel of the previous entries, while still feeling like it's doing something a little bit new. Because it's definitely a lot more different than Ninja Gaiden 2 Black. For one thing, the controls are a lot more smooth, they're a lot more responsive when it comes to targeting enemies, and the enemies this time around are a lot more aggressive. You cannot just hack and slash away, unless you're playing it on the lowest difficulty, but I really shouldn't bring that up a whole lot. But, when it comes to, a bigger challenge, the enemies are a lot more smarter, and they are a lot more able to know exactly when you're playing on your move. So you really got to be careful, especially with the amount of moves that the enemies have. Sometimes they can, they can cancel your attack. But there are times where you know exactly when to strike at the right time, because that's something that Ninja Gaiden has been known for. You can't always just hack and slash away. You really gotta, understand the enemy's move sets, even though they aren't really that predictable. But hey, the hack and slash combat is always what made the game so much fun. It is also very brutal when it comes to its combat. In terms of the move sets and taking down enemies, sometimes you can end them off in very grisly ways, and it is absolutely satisfying when it does come to those aspects. And bosses, they're a lot of fun too. They aren't always even, but for the most part, I had a lot of fun taking them down. And I was pretty happy how the last boss turned out, because all I really cared for was fast, quick-paced action, just like the previous Ninja Gaiden games, and that's really what I got here. Even though I kind of would have liked playing as Ryu again, because the main character is very bland. in terms of the interactions he has with these characters, he's just all like, and just, trying to be that edgy badass that, most hack and slash games are known for. But it just kind of comes off as a little generic when it comes to the new protagonist this time around. I didn't hate him, I just didn't really feel like he was all that memorable. And as for the story itself, it's very predictable. None of the new characters I found remotely interesting. They just came across as either forgettable or just there because the game needs a story. Because that's honestly something I kind of expected. I would have loved to have been surprised if it actually, did something to have me connect with the story. But it just comes off as kind of, well, okay, there's a story. But who really cares? Now, when it comes to the combat, in terms of the weapons you get, each time you get a new weapon, it's from defeating a boss, and there's a cutscene that plays, and you automatically get a new weapon. Though, I feel like it's a lot more satisfying when you get weapons throughout the game without having to wait till bosses, because your arsenal of weapons isn't very big. But hey, that's not to say that the weapons are bad, because they are a lot of fun to use. They have their own different combos, and throughout the game, you can get new techniques for them when you go to the area where you can buy specific techniques and stuff, and other items too. It's always satisfying to do, and it just feels so good when it comes to, getting new abilities to use them against other enemies too. You can always just, test out your techniques while you're going up against them. There are also missions you can do in order to get more currency. Though I do feel like when it comes to upgrading games with specific currency, it does feel like quite a bit of a grind. I mean, it does have quest options where you can defeat a certain amount of enemies and get more currency, but I didn't really see myself doing that a whole lot. I also kind of miss the fact that, you could upgrade your weapons later on throughout the game, but you can't really do that, like, in terms of, like, getting them stronger and make them look all cool and stuff. All that you really do in terms of upgrading your weapons, all you really do is just get new techniques, which, hey, it's good for that. But I just kind of, miss that, feeling of being able to upgrade another weapon. But that's just how I feel. Also, in terms of a new moveset you get, in terms of, like, what Yakumo can do with his skills, there's, like, this blood form where, he can perform stronger attacks when, you hold down the L2 button and do like a massive combo move that can strike up to a bunch of other different enemies and then take them all off, in a finishing move. That was really cool to see. I really enjoyed that aspect of the game. But here's the thing, okay, even though it was a lot of fun, the level design is also another gripe that I have with the game. None of it really feels inspired, and in terms of the things that you do in terms of exploring the areas, because one thing that's very helpful is the fact that there's an indicator where, you can hold down the right stick, and it'll show you exactly where you need to go in order to progress with the next story, because sometimes it was kind of hard to me to know exactly where to go to from time to time when it came to the previous Ninja Gaiden games, but that was pretty helpful. Though there are some things you're going to be doing in terms of, like, transportation. Like, you're going to have to grind on rails, which, I don't know, it was kind of hard for me to get used to, especially when those trains hit you and it takes you back to have to restart, though they do have checkpoints along the way. Also, you're going to be, like, going on water as well as, flying in the air. It got very repetitive, and it really didn't help that most of the level design you're just, like, climbing on specific areas as well as going to the next area. It just doesn't really feel all that inspired. So, yeah. Despite all that, the game is still a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun playing the game, even though I would have preferred just playing as Ryu again. It's nice that Ryu is still in the game, just not in the way that I would have hoped for. It is still a really fun, bloody roller coaster ride of pure mayhem. However, here's the thing. When I was playing on the lowest difficulty after beating the game, I noticed one thing. It only took me 6 hours to beat the story, and the game cost $70, unless you're playing on Game Pass, but a lot of people had to cancel their Game Pass subscriptions because of, well, I think you know why. Xbox has been very greedy this year, probably even more greedy than Nintendo, but I don't really want to get into that. Now, there are trials that you can also do in order to get more rewards. I haven't really tried that out, but I heard they're really fun. I don't know. And I guess if you're playing on higher difficulty, then you would be playing the game a little bit longer. But for someone who really didn't really have a whole lot of time, just taking his time with the game, I don't know. I just feel like I just feel like it kind of needed to be a little bit more expansive to make it fully worth that $70 price tag, because there have been longer games to come out this year that cost a lot less. But I don't know. Maybe if I was playing on higher difficulty, but hey, nonetheless, I still think for old time comers and newcomers of the Ninja Gaiden series, it's still definitely worth playing. Maybe wait for a price drop, or I don't know, maybe you got your money's worth. But hey, I play it on Game Pass, so I wasn't really complaining all that much. And in the end, guys, Ninja Gaiden 4, I still had a really fun time with. It's still great when it comes to its hack and slash combat. The protagonist may be bland, the level design may be bland, the story may be bland, but the rest of the game is a lot of fun. It's satisfying when it comes to its combat. It never feels old, it never feels repetitive. It's fun unlocking new moves to take on these enemies with. If you're playing on higher difficulty, there's definitely more of a challenge, especially with enemy aggression. And still, Ninja Gaiden 4 is still a bloody fun time, and it's nice to see this franchise make a really big return. I am absolutely on a roll with video games this year, so yeah, I'm glad I was able to have all this time, even though there were still so many other movies that I got to see this month. But hey, I'm on a roll, and Outer Worlds 2 comes out. I definitely want to play that, and I know it's gonna, well, with games like that, it's a little bit more lengthier, but I'm just happy that game isn't going for $80 like it was originally going for. And yeah. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and maybe subscribe for more. You can also follow me on Twitter, Instagram, or maybe Blue Sky. Links are in the description. And I'll see you guys later. Ward out.